Boom. All right, we're on episode 10, Squeeze the Neck podcast. Today I got with me Mr. Daniel Terry, top man. Thanks for doing this. Good to see you. It's been too long, mate. It's been too long.
I've been trying to sort this out for a while as well.
We have been running away from me, chased you down.
Listen, like I was saying earlier, kids, man.
That's it.
I'm like, I've got to get back to Ollie, and then a few days and anyway.
That's all right. We're here now. That's all that matters. And we're getting to your kids later because you've got three little savages by the look of it that are next coming, right?
You know what? I think if they choose to get into it, I think they've all got the ability.
Yep.
You know, and I can't take all the credit. Their mum was a fighter as well.
Yeah.
Fit, sort of. You know, she was always into sport before she got into Muay Thai, so I can't take all the credit.
Yeah, but we will because we're on the episode together, so we'll take all the credit. All right, mate. So I know a bit about your career. I've known you for a long time. So we first met, I think, 2012, way back in the day, back at Gym Box, the old Gym Box, when you had the fiery blonde hair and you stood out from a crowd.
I don't stand out for the crowd now.
Well, you do, but it's only because you look about 25 and you're like, you're a real grown man. So we'll get into that later as well, about secrets to success of staying young and all that business. But yeah, mate, take us through your martial arts journey. Take us from the start and we'll work through it.
All right. So for me, I started when I was 9 with karate. My dad basically, I think, as I remember, I used to get into the odd scrap at school. My mum swears that I was hyperactive, and I was just an active kid. I just remember being active, and I did like a little scrap as well. So my dad took me to karate in Tottenham. Just loved it from there. I really liked it. Got into that for years. So I did it for I'd say straight through. I must have done it until I was about 16, like straight through, with no distractions. Distractions came in the form of girls, and later on going out and all that kind of stuff. So
a bit later, right? Not girls at the age of 9, I'm assuming. When we started, they ain't getting you there. But sorry, just to cut you off a little bit. You're from North London, is it? You said Tottenham.
Yeah, so I'm from originally King's Cross. My dad lived in Tottenham. My mum lived in King's Cross, Islington M1 sort of area. So my mum and dad lived apart, so I used to go to my dad's on the weekends. So I started doing karate at my dad's just on the weekends to begin with, and then it was during the week. And I just loved it. And did that until I got my black belt at 14. Moved to a place called Ingatestone, sort of village in Essex. Right?
Okay.
Really wish we hadn't, but anyway, I moved from Tottenham. I started living with my dad during the week. Coming to see my mum on the weekends.
And your mum's still in King's Cross, is she?
Yeah, she's still in King's Cross. By this point, she kind of moved to Essex Road. Still.
So you're all
sort of Islington. Yeah. So I was doing karate out there. I joined a club called Chelmsford Karate Club. Yes. And started competing. I was winning a lot of stuff. Got my black belt at 14, and then girlfriend at 14 as well, and that's when it kind of I was on the England under-21 squad, won the nationals, won a lot of competitions, doing well, and then I just kind of got a little bit distracted. School again. So basically, I think my dad wanted to help me by taking me to a good school. Yeah? The school was decent, it was good, but I was the only kid of colour. I was the only black kid there, so I was just encountering racism all the time. So I was fighting from day one at school, and then I was fighting people outside of school, and I'd go out and people would call the N-word, and I was getting into fights with people. People knew in school that I could handle myself. I won the nationals. People would see me fight, so they knew I could handle myself. But then some of the older kids, so I get into fights with them. And I kind of rebelled against school, basically, because I just thought, I don't need any of this. I don't like this experience. And my teacher said I could excel and do whatever I wanted to do if I applied myself. I just never applied myself. So I couldn't wait to get out of there. Once school was over, I moved back to London. So during that sort of period, I was dropping off karate a little bit. Even though I was still on the England squad, I was kind of coming out of it. And then I found DJing. Well, I found going out at 18 because I just always looked too young. My friends were going out early. I could never go out early. No one's going to buy it. I'm not going to. You guys go out. I'll join you when I've got that passport.
Yeah.
So when I turned 18, I started going out. And then that was it. I fell off karate altogether. Started getting into DJing. You know, taught my girlfriend at the time to DJ. Then my next girlfriend had to DJ, and we were like, used to run club nights and stuff. Training was always something I wanted to get back into. Didn't quite manage it. Then at some point I decided, I can't remember how old I was, maybe 21 or something. I just wanted to get back into it. And I went back to my then club, which is in Kilburn. But at that point, the head of the association died. And so the association had gone two different ways. So if I remember correctly, there was Karate Union in Great Britain. That's what we used to be. But now it was that. The England squad had still remained that, but my club had gone down the route of JKA, England, Japan Karate Association. So they splintered. And I came back in and was like, squad's gone that way, club's gone that way. Maybe it's time for me to find something else. I always wanted to do something that was full contact anyway, because karate, the organisation I was in, compared to a lot of them, it was still pretty tough because it was bare knuckle, but you snap your punches back. Everything was all straight, and and it's like single shots. You're trying to land a shot and score.
Is this continuous or is it stop, start? When you touch the point,
score,
stop.
So as much as I loved it, I knew there was something more practical and something I wanted to challenge myself with. So I wanted to get into Muay Thai. At that stage, I was DJing, but I had no money. I was just living a DJ life, but no money. So I saw Gymbox, and I thought, right, now's the time for me to get back into training. I was about 21, 22, something like that.
So fairly late to get back in, but you've already got a base. You was on the England squad, you said, and all that, and you competing internationally and all that at this point.
Yeah. Well, so to be honest, because I was on a junior squad, like they didn't really take the junior squad any places. It was a senior squad that went abroad. So we had some international matches that were on our shorts, like against Scotland and you know what I mean? It wasn't,
the far off land is Scotland.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't really, nothing exotic. No palm trees, nothing like that. So but I knew how to fight from a karate sense. I was pretty good. So then, I wanted to get into Muay Thai, wanted to work at Gymbox. I thought to myself, let me try and work at Gymbox as a way to pay for these Muay Thai classes, because literally I've got no money to even pay for classes. I thought, I've got no fitness qualification, didn't even do sport. Actually, I did sport and recreation at college and dropped out, so I didn't even have that in my back pocket. So I was like, how am I going to get a job at Gymbox? So I applied to be one of their flyer people. I thought, all right, you don't need any qualification to be a flyer person, right? I went over the top. I sent the pictures of me jumping over a car and doing like high kicks and stuff just to stand out.
Yeah.
So, I started flying for them. And then I think it was about 2 weeks. During that time, you could come in and use the gym, I think, when you break. So I come in and hit the bag and stuff. And really liked Gymbox from the start. And the reception team asked me if I wanted to work on reception. I started working on reception. And that's it. That's when I started doing my Muay Thai training, really. But then I was still at that stage kind of getting into fights on the street, still heavily into the club life, still DJing a little bit. So I didn't take my training super seriously. I just liked Muay Thai. I was in it. But anyway, at some point I got into it properly. I had my first C-class fight, I think when I was like 26.
Oh, wow. So long in the tooth for the game, really.
Yeah. So I might have been a bit older actually when I first came to Gymbox, maybe like 23, something like that. So I came to it late. And now I've been doing Muay Thai, I don't know, 16, 17 years. I did karate for maybe 15 years.
So you're a lifetime martial artist, really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm a lifetime martial artist, which is why, for me, like my kids, they're always going to be around. It's like a non-negotiable. Like this. In fact, a friend of mine actually said this thing to me, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to start using that. He's like, look, for his kids, he's like, listen, my work, my martial arts is what pays for all of this. Feeds you, clothes you. So you're gonna take part. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna understand martial arts to a certain age, because you need to understand this is how we live. So you're gonna do it as well. I thought, I'm gonna adopt that.
Yeah, it's nice.
I didn't really have to, because my kids kind of got into it from an early age. I thought, I'll pull that one out if I need it. Like, listen, martial arts feeds you. So appreciate martial arts and get in the gym.
Yeah.
All right, and that's it. So,
That's nice. Before we dive too deep into sort of the kids and all that, because I know Kay and we trained a little bit when he was a little tiny man, and your career and whatnot. Let's go back a bit because I can relate somewhat to your story of moving out of London and whatnot. But you already said, how old are you?
43.
43, even though you look 23, you're 43. So back in the day, what sort of pay you later for that one? Camera don't lie, guys. Camera don't lie. But so what sort of time frame are we talking about? We're talking sort of 90s when you move out. Is that right?
Yeah. What, when I moved to Essex?
Moved to Essex and you're at a new school and the races and things.
Bloody hell, I'm rubbish when it comes to dates like this, but I was born in 81.
Yeah.
So I would have
been early 90s. You're going secondary school.
Yeah. So I moved to a school in Essex, little village, and yeah, man, you either had to have some sort of European connection because it was a language college, and yeah, you had to have a European connection, or you had to live in that village to qualify to go there. Yeah. So my dad moved me to that village.
Wow. Okay.
I hear two different stories because my dad's not really, we don't talk like that. You know, as much as I'd love us to, we don't talk like that. But my mum says that my dad moved me there because at the time my mum was in an abusive relationship with a dude who's the dad of my brother and my sister. And he used to beat my mum, used to beat me. And, you know, my mum said my dad took me to Essex to remove me from that situation. So I don't know how much is that versus just wanted me to get a better education. I don't know. But yeah, that was, so around that age anyway. So
because the reason I ask is because I moved out of London. I moved to a place called Eastbourne when I was sort of 11-ish, I think. And I did from then till 15 at secondary school out there. Now, obviously, everyone was white out there. You had maybe...
You can relate to a different setting, completely
Well, the accent was the big one for me. So I go down there speaking like this, and I'm the funny kid with the funny accent. And I was really small for my age as well, until I got to about 14.
You mean as well? You're assuming I was?
No, I mean, you said you was. You would have said it. It's on camera. It's on camera. It's on camera. You said it, yeah. So we both been punched together too. But so I get down there and I'm small for my age. I wouldn't say I was bullied, but I was picked on. I was fighting a lot, right? So I can relate to that somewhat. Whereas in my school, everyone was white. It was probably 5 out of 1,000 kids. There was probably 5 black kids, maybe handful of Asian kids, and then everyone else is, you know, a normal standard English white kid. And I'm 33, so I'm a bit older than you, but I was out. Sorry, I'm a bit younger than you. I wish I was older than you. I look older than him, but so time-wise, things were different then, weren't they? Things were a bit more acceptable. You could say what you wanted, you could get away with it. If someone was being racist to you at that time, I imagine that was just whatever. Like,
you could never get away with half the stuff that was, you know what I mean? Like, and it was bad then, but I mean, that stuff is just not tolerated now. No. Maybe it's gone a little bit too far, but you know, it's a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything. Like, I've got a sister who's 12 years younger than me, and she went to school in the same area I did. She went to a different school, but same area. And in her, and the reason I bring it up is because she had a gay couple in her year, apparently. And I just said, "Oh, all right," and no one says anything. And she, no, why would they? And she put it on me like that, you know. Like, I was just thinking, I'm only 12 years older than you. Back in the day, that was like, do you know what I mean? That was a big change of the tide, isn't it? Like in our times. So that's obviously where the fighting and whatnot comes from for you as well, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think we were quite. Apart from, it's funny because I look back now, right? Because I always, even through my 20s when I was fighting and stuff, I always looked back at myself like I never looked for trouble. I would find it very difficult to walk away from, right? And I know I enjoyed fighting. And I enjoyed because I was small. I'm not like a threatening kind of looking guy. I'm not a menacing looking dude, face, body, whatever. So, you know, I knew out of my mates, I looked like the easy target. So I used to, used to get excitement out of probably gonna fuck you up, but you have no idea. So, you know, I did. But so I used to look back and think to myself, I was a good guy. I wasn't a troublemaker, you know. Then now I came to a realization. I'm 43, but I came to this realization like I think a few weeks ago, right? I was like, nah, maybe I was the problem because at the end of the day, obviously, you know, racism is one of those things that I'll never tolerate, especially if someone just blatantly just calls it N-word just when you're walking down the street. I'm like, okay, me and you're gonna have to get into something.
And it was real racism back then, right? Now a lot of the time I think it's people saying silly things because they don't realise what they're saying. I don't think there's as many real racist people now, is there?
I agree. Definitely like hardcore racism as sort of like it's lessened. And it might have morphed a little bit, but anyway, we'll get into that. But what I'm saying is I hear all of these people that some people that have never ever had a fight, and I always used to think, well, that's because you're you and I'm me, right? You're living a completely different life. But then I'll hear some people that are quite similar to me, fighters, people that are like tough. They get in the ring, they fight, and it's like, what? You've never had a street fight?
It's mad, that, isn't it?
Never. Like, for me, that's madness. Like, how can you go your whole way without having a fight? By this point in my school year, but this stage, my son's 14. At this stage, I had loads of fights. He's never had a fight, right?
Yeah.
And me and him are so similar, so similar. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, I think even though I never looked for a fight, I think I had that energy that attracted those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
I think I had the energy that just magnetized me to these other fuckers, because I was a fucker, but just not a fucker that was going like, come on, let's have a fight.
Yeah.
I was ready
Yeah.
if you said, come on, let's have a fight to me.
Yeah.
So as much as I never looked for trouble and I kind of jumped in and helped some people and all the rest of it, I think I had negative energy and I had chips on my shoulder, probably from my childhood, probably from, I still have dreams about my brother and sister's dad. Still want to fucking kill him.
Are they younger than you?
Yeah.
So you've got that protective instinct thing going on as well.
So, I think I just had a lot of internal aggression, things I probably should have had counselling for, just issues that would make me ready to fight. Even though I look back and go, nah, I was a good guy. But I think I had that kind of energy. It was like, fucking, let's go at any moment.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get to grips with that now.
But I think also, at a certain point, you ain't got to be sorry for who you are, right? You are who you are. You're a good guy. You're not a bully. And I think it is what it is, isn't it? You can't help where you come from, what happened to you. We've all been in shitty situations, haven't we? You know what I mean? And it is what it is. And it's led you to now you got, I say 3 lovely kids. I know your oldest son more, right? Lovely
Same
boy.
way you were assuming that I was small, you were assuming that they're lovely as well.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming. They're not lovely. All right. Well, you said it, not me.
They have their lovely moments.
But you know what I'm saying? Like Kayin, when he used
People
to...
think they're lovely.
Yeah, well, Kayin, you said 14 now, right? When he used to start coming to our wrestling class, he was 9, right? I used to teach an adults wrestling class and he used to come along. So I used to do a bit of one-on-one stuff with him in the corner, right? Just to make sure he didn't get fell on by a clumsy white belt or whatever.
Yeah.
But confident kid, lovely kid, speaks nice, doesn't he? You know what I mean? He's got the whole thing.
They're good kids. They just drive me nuts, but they're good kids.
Kids for you, isn't it? That's kids. That's how it is. I ain't got none of my own yet, but, I can imagine.
Yeah, you can take mine out for a day.
Well, for half a day. We'll do half a day.
Half a day. Deal.
Nice one. We're on. It's on camera, so I'm fucked there, and I. But yeah, so take us forward a bit, mate. So we dive back and forth for different bits, but take us to your actual career, how you got into the pro game, how many fights you've had, what you've achieved, etc. Let's have a look at your Muay Thai.
All right. So basically, when I first started fighting for Team Chew, I think Phil, my head coach, basically said, because I wanted to, you don't want to have inter clubs. I can't remember. But he's like, no, you're not going to have inter clubs. You're going to go straight into C clubs.
So sorry, anyone that doesn't know inter clubs, they're sort of unscored bouts that are in house, right?
Yeah. Sometimes they can be scored, but yeah, generally that is the route that people go down when they start fighting. So you've got shin guards, you've got maybe big gloves. The younger ones might wear body protection. Sometimes you're wearing head guards, but yeah, it's like amateur fights, and sometimes it's light contact. You can go a little bit heavier. If certain things can be agreed between the corners, like, all right, do you want, I don't know, heavy contacts, full contacts? With the young ones, you might decide whether you want head contact, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's the avenue people go down if they're thinking about fighting, or they just want to give it a go. Some people just want to give inner clubs a go, and then they're like, oh, I love this, and they fully go down the route. Some people just find it in the clubs. But yeah, it's a good way to just, because you get used to sparring people at your gym. But if you want to test yourself against people that don't know your style and you don't know their style, in the clubs is the way to go. So it's the first step towards fighting, basically. And Phil said to me, no, it wouldn't be fair on your opponent if you did in the clubs. Let's just take you straight into C class. I was flattered by that, and I was actually thinking about it. Maybe he was thinking, this guy's old, let's just fast track him.
Yeah, he ain't got enough time.
He ain't got enough time. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to go with what you told me. So, I went into C class. And to be honest, I was crapping my pants because I'd never kicked someone full contact with a shin guard, let alone without a shin guard.
So you've got no shin guards on now?
C class is, first level of sort of pro in this country. So you're fighting without shin guards. normal size gloves. So like my weight, it would be 8-ounce gloves.
And just take us through that. So C class, then I'm assuming it goes B and A.
Yeah, C class, B, and A. A is what we consider full Thai rules. So I'll tell you, right. So C class, I think let me get this right because I think different associations might do it differently. But C class generally is like 5 1.5 minute rounds, or maybe 3 2-minute rounds. No knees and elbows allowed to the head, but it is, small gloves. I say small, not MMA small, but 8-ounce gloves, no shin guards. Obviously, you've got a mouth guard, groin guard, all that kind of stuff. Then B class it moves to 5 2-minute rounds, knees allowed to the head, but no elbows. And then A class is full Thai rules. They basically do in Thailand. So knees and elbows to the head allowed. And yeah, it's 5 3-minute rounds. A lot of shows now are doing like fast-paced 3-minute rounds, but yeah, traditionally when I was doing 5 3-minute rounds, that's the difference really.
So you're in your first C class fight, mate.
Yeah,
and how's that go from there?
I was worried because I was like, my shins, I feel like I'm kind of worried. I'm like everyone, even when people go from interclub to C class, that's the question they ask me all the time. They're like, what was it like when you had your first C class? And to be honest, adrenaline counts for a lot. It counts for a lot, man. It counts for a lot. So I find that I might kick someone in the elbow in sparring, and it will hurt more than kicking someone 100% with no shin guards in a fight, because you just pumped full of adrenaline. So generally speaking, it doesn't feel nice when you crack someone, even when you kick someone low kick and they don't block it. That slap. Have you ever tried to kick those aqua bags? You try and kick one of those, that slap, that sting. So,
it's like a burn on your skin type shitty thing.
When you kick someone 100%, it doesn't feel nice anyway, but it just feels a whole lot worse for them. So, I would get injured more, or I'd feel injuries more if I kicked your knee in sparring, I kicked your elbow in sparring, rather than in the fight. That's not to say you don't get hurt in a fight. Can.
It's more of a problem later, isn't it?
It's more of a
my
problem
experience
like
as well.
An hour later or the next day. I've had fights where I've just smashed the guy, and then I couldn't walk the next day. And actually, I needed help out in the ring more than he did. Even though I kicked the life out of him, I was like, he should be messed up, not me. That's how it goes.
So first fight, do you win your first fight?
Yeah, and I think I hurt his leg with low kicks, and he didn't come out for the second round.
Oh, so stoppage, round one. That counts as a round one, right? Round one stoppage. Couldn't have stopped. Couldn't have started better, could it really?
Yeah. But you get high on that. You think, that's it's going to be forever. And I bumped into him about a good few years later, and he said that he couldn't fight again.
Oh, that was him done.
Yeah, man. And it's like feel bad for the guy.
That's what you get, though, isn't it? That's what you get.
It's
what
you
sign up for. Yeah,
it's a risk. It's a risk. And part of me is like, I did that. Me and my masterful kicks and me and my powerful kicks, whatever it is. But yeah, you kind of like, shit, man. He I don't know how far he wanted to go as well, but he was into this the same way I'm into this, and he couldn't fight again. So I just saw him sort of like helping out his corner. He was like helping out at a show. I can't remember what he was doing, like maybe walking fighters from changing rooms to the ring or something like that. And I just had a conversation with him, and I was like, wow, shit, can't fight. It's pretty bad.
But you never know what's going on with people anyway, right? Sometimes people use that as an excuse, don't they? I could have been a contender till I broke my hand and all that shit, right? It is what it is. So let's fast forward a bit, mate. From there, you go on your C class first win. How does it go from there? Is it more C class, or are you straight to B and A's? And how's it work?
I think I had maybe 3 or 4 more C classes before moving to B. And at the time, I think you can't get a title unless it's B class.
And sorry, how does that work? Do you just decide you're going to fight B class, or your coach, or is it a process?
Yeah, just a coach. I mean, some people, I guess, can be more interactive. Can I have a bit of this?
Yeah, do you want, mate?
I think a lot of people can be more sort of interactive with their coach and like maybe sit down and have a plan, and that was never really my thing. So he found me fights, and I just took him. So,
and also, I'm assuming in England, Muay Thai back then, because we're going back almost 20 years ago now, right? So, like, I'm assuming times have changed, right? Because even now, Muay Thai is not like a big deal, is it?
Yeah, it's not massive. I think, to be honest, MMA has helped Muay Thai. It's come on its coattails, if that makes sense. Because, even a geezer down the pub, he knows about MMA, watches the UFC and all the rest of it, right? And that's a bit cage fighting. Yeah, that was it. Like back in the day,
Yeah,
it was like, oh yeah, I'm into cage fighting and all the rest of it. But they wouldn't know anything. But anyway, before people knew what mixed martial arts was, it was like cage fighting. Da da da. So I think people kind of know that, you know, in terms of mixed martial arts, the key components can be, you know, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. Basically, if you can come from any background, but you know, you've got to have some submission sort of stuff. So your BJJ, wrestling is probably the best base for MMA anyway. And then, you know, a complete stand-up striking style, elbows, even clinch, a little bit of grappling, knees, all your kicks, all your punches, Muay Thai. So I think people kind of know that Muay Thai, you know, it's a key foundation. You don't have to necessarily, if you're an MMA guy, you don't necessarily have to study Muay Thai as the art form itself, but you know, you're going to be throwing elbows, you're going to be throwing knees. Most of that stuff is Muay Thai inspired or Muay Thai taught. So yeah, you know, I think it's come a long way.
And also blocking, right? Because you can't take many of them leg kicks, can you? Because even if you're thinking about taking someone down, you've only got to take 2 or 3 solid leg kicks, and it's a big problem.
Yeah,
right?
man, you can't function. No. You just can't move around as quickly. Yeah, I tell you what. So, so like a brief before I got into Muay Thai, I tried my hand at Kyokushin, and Kyokushin, I wish I'd done as much as I look back fondly at my memories of doing karate, like it was Shotokan karate, and I made a point of, because there's so many different karate styles, and there's so many organizations within those styles, you could be doing a shit one. Yeah. I was in some organizations who were like, this is fucking, I can swear, right?
Of course you can, yeah. So you want.
I'm sworn by now anyway. So this is fucking rubbish, right? You've got guys that, this guy looks like he's just set up an association, just dishing out black belts to his mates, holding back certain other people, and furthermore, he's shit.
Yeah, got a big belly, can't fight.
Shit, right? All your black belts are shit. Anyway, so like, I know there are associations like that. So I went down the route of choosing the most widely practiced style in the world, and then I think the biggest association within the country. So it was like solid. But when I tried Kyokushin,
and Kyokushin, for anyone that doesn't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, full contact, just no punches to the head. Am I right?
Yeah, no punches.
But you can kick to the head.
Yeah,
so that makes a lot of sense.
To the head as well,
exactly.
You know what I mean? But I think I don't know.
And it's bare knuckle, and
bare knuckle. So I think the thought process is, you know, because it's bare knuckle, fights would just end up just being punches, right? It's the quickest way to finish someone. So like, how you doing, man? It would kind of, I think. You know, I don't know what the thought process is, but maybe fights.
I think it's cuts more than anything.
If you just punch someone in the head, you know, so you know, just brutal body shots, brutal body shots, and low kicks as well. The thing is with the low kicks, because you're so close, you're taking a lot more than you do in Muay Thai because you're so close. But anyway, I went into Kyokushin because I found out about it and thought, oh, this is. I wanted to do something that was by weight. And I wanted to do something full contact, and I thought, Kyokushin is wicked. And I'm telling you, the first time I felt a low kick, I was like,
get you out of bed in the morning. That one, wasn't it?
Oh my! I couldn't ride my bike home. I came down on a bike, and I did ride the bike home, but it was a struggle.
Yeah.
It was a struggle, and it was, to be fair, it was like this big dude. It was like, he didn't have to kick me that hard, but maybe he didn't. My legs weren't conditioned back then. I'd never received a low kick in my life. And it was solid shin to just my quad. And I was like, fuck, this is just a different world. And it's not those pretty, exciting head kicks that I'm a fan of. It was just kind of raw, didn't look like much. And I was like, damn, I can't, you know what I mean? So I thought, all right, I want to give this a go. And I wanted to get into Kyokushin. But I think what put me off was, at the time, the weight categories. I was just too small for the lowest weight category. So, you know, I think I was probably walking around the same as I am now, like 70 kilos, 69. Maybe I was like 69 then. But their weight categories were 70 and below was lightweight, 70 to 80 middle, 80 and above heavy.
Mad weight classes, isn't
it? Yeah. So, but everyone was cutting. So all the 70 kg guys were still way bigger than me. Yeah. And I was like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this, man, because I want to be good at this. I know I can be good at this, but the weight categories just didn't suit me. So I did it for a little bit. And to be honest, like, no punching to the face, there was something about that I just thought, okay, we're missing a trick here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As much as I think this is wicked, I wish I got into it. I was like, no. I know we've gone off. Sorry.
Yeah, it's good, man. Tell us your story. It's all good.
So yeah, that's when I had a couple of white collars, boxing, and then got into Muay Thai, and that's when I thought, all right, this is a complete complete stand-up striking art that I wanted to do. Did actually want to get into MMA, but I wanted to become world champ at Muay Thai first, and that was that. So yeah, I can't remember why we went down this way. But
we were just talking about your career and whatever. So, and we talk about your son and whatnot, getting into lots of different things, which I want to come back to. So we're getting to Kayin and what he's doing now, because I want to talk about your views on sort of having a base in a specific martial art like yourself, or what it seems like. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. What Kayin's doing is he does a bit of everything, and he looks like he's good at everything.
Yeah. So I think. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of Kayin, I don't think like some people, when you come and just learn MMA, and I know a lot of people are doing that now, right? He's definitely not doing that. He's been doing, as you know, he's been doing BJJ for years. He started just before he turned 7. He's 14, so he's been doing it like he's
all his conscious life, pretty much. He doesn't remember
like he's
basically
coming up
not.
to 8 years doing it, right? So when we lived in Sweden at the time, which is where he started, he was Scandinavian champ. We came back here. He's British champ. So he's good, and he's got that foundation. Muay Thai is one of those things that, again, because I can teach it, and it's just fun to mess around with pad work, and you want your son to like know how to throw a punch and all the rest of it. For me, I always wanted my kids to just be able to protect themselves primarily. So we always messed around with pads at home. So he's always been around it, but it's only the last year and a half, 2 years that he's decided to get into it of his own volition and just like, right, I like this. I'm actually into this. I want to come to training just off my own back. So BJJ's been his thing. So he might be doing Muay Thai, BJJ, and now we've started doing like MMA on a Saturday. But he's got a solid base in BJJ. And I guess a bit of a base in Muay Thai, just being around me and his mum his whole life. So, yeah.
Which I think from the outside, personally, I think having a base in something, and I don't think it matters too much what it is, as long as it's a real martial art. We're not talking about Aikido or something, As long as, no offense to the Aikido guys, but
listen,
it ain't going to work, bro.
Gonna come over
Steven Seagal can have it whenever he wants. When you want it, Steven, you shout me, we'll have it. And your belly as well. But do you know what I mean? I think it's good to have a base and then get good at other things.
That's what I think.
Because you've always got your home base. If you look at the extreme level, like someone like Khabib, who's a wrestler, right?
Yeah.
He can strike. Of course he can. He dropped McGregor with his hands. But he's a grappler, and he knows that once it goes there, he's going to get you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way to go. And it seems like, from what you said, that's what Kayin's doing. And he's obviously successful.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he only wanted to get into MMA kind of recently. So he just wanted to do BJJ. And I was always happy with him doing BJJ because, in terms of, I agree with you that in terms of like, even self-defense, there are only certain martial arts or combat sports that work for self-defense. And those are like legit things where you spar properly, right? In my opinion, my humble opinion, because I did karate for 15 years, Muay Thai for 15 years, a bit longer. But if I compare the two of them, like all these street fights I had back in the day, never used karate once. I did kick someone in the face once, but only to kind of take the piss out of him. I'd already like punched him up a bit. But anyway, apart from that, I never used it. Muay Thai, all right, so I haven't had any street, I had one altercation with a dude, right? This was, I'd say, about 3 years ago. And I didn't punch him, but I swept him like a Muay Thai sweep. This guy anyway, he was like outside where I lived and he was being a dick. And I was telling him to stop, and then he grabbed a hold of me, and I just grabbed him and swept him. But it was a Muay Thai sweep, right? So I've never hit someone. I just pinned him down. He fell in front of like a taxi. He was like, "No, help me!" But a minute ago, he wanted to beat me up. But anyway, and I even went home and went, no striking involved. I just did a Muay Thai sweep on someone. So that's how real it is. It's practical. And that's not even like we think of Muay Thai as in the striking side of it. I'm talking about the grappling.
There's a lot of grappling in Muay Thai, and clinch work, a lot.
Yeah, the clinching and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, Muay Thai versus karate. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can be an effective practitioner of martial arts if you've got like a karate style. We've seen that, right? It can be effective. You can have all these different styles that can, but in terms of like just a raw self-defense thing, for me, it's things like full contact, kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, and then the grappling ones as well, like wrestling, BJJ. But yeah, none of these kind of, these flowery sort of more traditional. They might be beautiful and they might be effective against a dude who does your exact thing, but
who's compliant.
World,
that's exactly
who's compliant.
It. That's
you know
it.
what I mean? Who's,
I've had many experiences with that.
And, yeah. But in real life situations, I don't think any of that works. So for me, Kayim doing BJJ was awesome because he was learning a legit sort of combat sport, but he wasn't getting hit in the head, and I was quite happy with that because being hit in the head ain't good for you. I kind of feel like, to be honest, on a daily basis, I think about, damn, is my bloody mental health declining? Is my memory like this? Has it always been this crap, or is it getting worse? And I'm paranoid all the time. I do things that old people do, and I'm like, is that fighting, or is that maybe years of clubbing and stuff that goes along with clubbing?
Or is it more that you're just aware of it?
Yeah,
because I've caught myself with that too.
Yeah, or tricking myself into heightening these things that other people are going through as well, but I just feel like I'm going through them more because I've been hit in the head, and I don't know, man. So I am paranoid about that.
But also, I don't know what you think about this. Like with me too, my background was boxing and whatnot, and I was getting hit in the head at a relatively young age and whatever. And Tony Jeffries, do you know the boxer Tony Jeffries?
Yeah,
he come out with the thing. He's great. He's got a great YouTube channel. But he spoke about a thing once.
That he tries Muay Thai and he appreciates other martial arts.
He gets tapped out a lot in jiu-jitsu. Great guy. Yeah. But he speaks about, I can't remember the system exactly. I'll butcher it. But he said like he worked out how many fights he'd had, how many rounds he probably sparred, how much he was getting hit, blah blah, and he could calculate how much he'd been punched in the head, and it was like an ungodly number. So I did it with mine. And I was like, when you're looking at it in numbers, you go, shit, I've been punched in the head. I can't remember it offhand, but it was like thousands. And I was like, shit, they're like punches to the head, right? But when I was hearing all this, I was thinking about it, and a bit like what you said, you think about it, and you're like, I think, am I hearing ringing in my ears? But the more I think, it is what it is. This is the life we chose, right? And at the end of the day, I don't want to play tennis or football. I want to do this. I want to do martial arts. So if I can't do it, if this takes a bit of time off your life, and the last 10 years ain't as comfortable as maybe they would be, you weigh it up, didn't you? And go, you know what?
Not a long time. Listen, I get it.
Yeah.
But when it's your son, that's when
very different. Yes, I'm with you.
So that's why for me, I'm like, I'm like, look, this is what I chose. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have had it any other way. The only thing I might have done is I might have gone down the MMA route as opposed to Muay Thai, or I would have just ended my Muay Thai career earlier and gone down the MMA route. I probably would have done that, but that's a different story. But fighting is something I love to do. But when it's my kids, it's like, all right, I'm volunteering you for that.
Are you more protective of your girls than your son?
Well, not really, because they're just young at the moment, so they're not sparring.
Right.
They're doing BJJ.
Yep.
But there's no, I just want my girls to be able to feel confident and like, I know how to fucking curl up my fist and just punch you in the face. You know what I mean? Like, I come from a family of fighters. If you fuck with me, not fuck with me, but if I need to.
If you step out of line on them.
If I need, I want them to have that in their back pocket. So they know that I'm not just some timid little flower. I can fuck you up. You know what I mean? If they choose to get into competition, I'd love them to, because I think they've all got potential to be wicked. I think they have. But so at the moment, because my girls are just dabbling with BJJ and Muay Thai, it's not something that I'm thinking about. But with Kayim, I am, because I have started to take him to sparring, and he's sparring adults, and so very often I'll just stand there and watch to make sure it's not going too heavy. And,
because you've got to be careful with that too, ain't you? Adults, because he's at an age where he's not in his adult body yet, but he's good. So if he's
what it's like.
And if he's with a grown man who feels like he's having a piss taken out of him, he might start turning. I mean, you can be as good as you want. If a grown man punches you in the head and you're only 14, you're not ready for that, are you?
Yeah, no, he's only, he's like 57 kilos, 57 kilos, and same weight. Talked about people can get frustrated, a lot of egos, a lot of knobheads that get attracted to, as much as really good people get attracted to. Those are the ones that tend to be true martial artists. Yeah. But you get a lot of dickheads attracted to the martial arts world as well, right? And you know, my son is quick and technical, and yeah, if he's piecing someone up a little bit, but not hard,
Yeah.
he'll never be the person to go hard. But I see them getting frustrated. I've been on the other end of that as well, but he's 14, so like, might, you know, I kind of, there have been sparring sessions that I could be involved in, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to get involved. So I just want to watch Cain and make sure no one's getting too silly. So because he's wanted to have headshots from the start.
That's being young, isn't it? You think you're invincible, being young, dumb, and full of the other stuff. That's
exactly. Just, you know,
and we've all been there, haven't we? Like even me as a grown man, I was teaching in Stars Gym. We both know Stars Gym, right? And there was a guy in there. I was teaching a boxing class, and the guy was like a proper. I think he was Swedish, like a proper Viking. I mean, he was about 6'6", 100 odd kilos, beginner, but he was like bashing people up in the class at the sparring thing. So I sparred with him to sort of move him around. And as he stepped in, I didn't throw a massive shot to kill him, but he stepped in, I threw an overhand right, and I caught him. And he kind of buckled and like, no, don't, blah, blah, complain to the gym. Long story short, I was no longer welcome in the gym to teach, right? But that's the kind of personalities you get. So, and I'm not saying that to make myself sound like a tough guy, but he was bullying people in the gym. And then as soon as he got a bit of a whack, this is a grown man who's gone to reception to complain. Right.
We've had a same situation recently in Fight Zone with a guy who, he was bullying some of the girls, and then he left. Well, Jose Varela?
No.
Anyway, he's my homie from Fight Zone. He's the guy that runs all the.
I do know him, Muay Thai. I don't know him personally. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, black guy teaches Muay Thai.
People think that we're bloody brothers.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
And basically,
I don't know him personally, but I know you're talking about.
Yeah. He's an amazing guy, and he basically put on his gloves and was like, okay, let me move around a little bit with you. Didn't beat him up, but like, because he's bullying people.
Yeah.
And especially he was bullying the girls as well, whatever. He hurt some people. And the guy went off in a half, got really upset, wrote this crazy review on Fight Zone. Like, if you read the review, you know that, okay, this is written by a dickhead. Right? You can see that.
But to me, and I'm not, it's not every single situation cut and dry, but if you're a grown man writing a complaint letter because you've just been beat up in the gym, it's a certain type of character, isn't it? Yeah. You're a certain type of person. Fighting's probably not for you.
Yeah, he's definitely a character. But I mean, you find him, and so at the moment I'm just being careful with who Cain is, because the thing is, I've been teaching him Muay Thai for a bit, but because he's at Fight Zone, he does the classes that I teach, which are beginners Muay Thai. It's kind of mixed, but it's beginners Muay Thai, so I don't have them do free sparring. So he doesn't really get that much sparring. So now, that he's into Muay Thai a bit more, he's staying and doing adults Muay Thai with Jose. So he's not that experienced at sparring. He's just experienced with me, pad work and doing technical stuff. But in terms of sparring, he hasn't done that much. So I am sort of like on alert, just making sure that, no one's bashing him up,
And if they are, they're going to get it from daddy.
Well, luckily we've not got to that stage. Yeah. And I don't want it to get to that stage.
No.
I don't want to be like, all right, now I'm going to hurt you because you hurt my son. I probably would. Yeah. I'll be honest. Because some people are, it's like, you're a dick. And you're being unreasonable. So now I'm going to be a dick. And,
especially to a 14-year-old. We're not talking about a 17-year-old. We're talking about 14's a kid to a grown man, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So if someone's taking liberties, they got to learn. They have to learn. They have to learn. Because I tell you what I want to talk about as well is I'll keep taking you off on a tangent, mate. So sorry. We will get into your career and what you've achieved and all this stuff. But I want to talk about training in Thailand because I know you've been recently, right? I've seen it on with the full fam or whatever. You've trained a lot in Thailand. I've trained in Thailand too. I've never fought Muay Thai, but I've sparred and I've done bits and pieces. Yeah. So the thing is that people say a lot is when you go to Thailand that the Thais spar light. They do when you spar Thai, right? But when I've sparred boxing, because when I've been out there, they've sparred boxing in the mornings and Muay Thai in the afternoons on the sparring days. Yeah. Now boxing, from my experience, you tell me what yours is. You've got way more than me. They don't spar light for boxing. Boxing is like a fight in the gym. It's my experience when you're punching only. They look after themselves more for leg kicks and elbows and things and cuts because they're fighting so often. And again, when I'm sparring with them Muay Thai, they're playful, right? I'm not a Muay Thai fighter. I was a boxer at the time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And they're playful and it's and they're doing all this kind of stuff, and it's fun and it's good. But what's your experience in training in Thailand?
So generally speaking, the sparring is lighter.
And they go to your level as well. Like when I've seen people turn it up on them, they get what's coming to them.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Generally speaking, so say for example, first title I won was Southern Area Belt, right? South of England. Yeah, South of England. So if I was like South of England versus South of Thailand champ, that person would destroy me. Like, there's no comparison.
No.
Like, if you're talking skill wise and just pure time spent in the gym, there's just no comparison. Even though I came to it late, even if I came to it at the same time, you know, professional fighter there, you do that twice a day, 2-3 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours in the evening, 6 days a week. You fight, I don't know, once, twice a month, whatever it is. That's your life, right? Me, I'm working. I'm doing this. I'm running errands. I've got kids stuff, all the rest of it. So even if you haven't got kids, you still, you know, you're still working the normal kind of jobs that people do and trying to train around that. So the level in skill is just huge, genuinely. And the level in fight experience is huge. So I think, but you know, again, it does depend which gym you go to. It can be heavier, and it depends how many foreigners they got there as well, because they're, you know, the foreigners are kind of used to doing it a bit heavier as well. So foreigners between foreigners can go quite heavy.
Yep.
And if you're someone who's living at the gym as well, like maybe you've been there 6 months or whatever, they might go heavier with you as well because you're one of their fighters and you know whatnot. But yeah, the main thing is you don't go 100% like you might do in boxing, because yeah, you can't kick people 100%.
No.
You're gonna mess yourself up. You're gonna mess up your ankles. You're gonna, you know, you're not considered a good sparring partner.
Yeah.
If you hurt them, do you know what I mean? And they can't work and feed their families. So yeah, it tends to be lighter than it is here. But having said that, I've got into it at some gyms. Yeah, I got into it with this Thai champ and then this Moroccan guy who I think was living there. I really got into it, and I was like, it really pissed me off because I've just gone there to just try the gym, and they really got into it with me. And at the time as well, I had like a hand thing, and I wasn't using my right hand, and they knew that, but I ended up using my right hand because I had to.
Oh, yeah.
But I was like, this is fucked up. This is not what I need, you know. But egos were there, and mine as well, you know. And there were even people on the mopeds that were like stopping because they could see that this is a proper tear up. There were people just stopping and just watching. It was like watching a real fight between me, this Thai guy, and this Moroccan guy. But I don't like that because I'm not there for a war. That's not what I'm there for. I do like to prove my toughness, and that's why I get drawn into that stuff. But I don't want to go back to, and I didn't go back to that gym. It's like, no, I don't need that. So I like it to be more technical. Maybe because I'm injury prone as well. I've had so many injuries over the years. But I prefer technical sparring. And in Thailand, it tends to be more technical. And like I said, you can get into it with some people. But generally, yeah, it's more technical. And
from my experience, they're good people too, aren't they? They're not there to tear you up. It's not like a boxing club here. If you're an outsider in a boxing club here, I've seen that a million times. You're getting it. Do you know what I mean? And there's an element when you get into boxing too, where you've got to go for a period of time of getting the fuck beat at you before they even take any notice of it.
Right?
That's it. Yeah. But in Thailand, and I guess a lot of it's from tourism over the years. Like when I went there, the first time I went to Thailand was probably 2014. So it's not late in the day, but like Europeans have been going there for years at this point, haven't
they? Yeah, I guess they want to, you know, they want to look after you. That you're a source of income, and you know, so you don't want to just be battering.
And where they stuck it on me was on the pads, because as they're hitting the pads, when I'm hitting it, trying to be Billy Big Bollocks, like in round 1, and you've got 10 rounds or whatever, hey, and they're turning up on you, and you're fucked, and you don't know where the bell's coming, and like by round 3, you're thinking, how many rounds to go? And you're looking, you're thinking to yourself, and you're trying to kid yourself, but you're saying, I'm sure he said we're doing 10 rounds, and I'm dead on these pads. And the guy, I don't know, I can't remember his name was Ali something, I can't remember, this is at Phuket top team, I don't know if you know who he was, but he was retired.
I've never been to Phuket.
All right, he was 27 at the time. He had like cuts on his faces. He was retired. He had over 300 fights as a Thai fighter, and he was a great coach. He was looking after me and playing with me and touching me. And we got into some sort of like, as I say, 10 rounds on the pads, and then he was like keeping me and throwing things at me. But it was good. You know what I mean? It wasn't like to hurt me or make a point. So my experience has always been great in Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, apart from, you know, the technical side of it, because it's true, authentic Muay Thai, right? Which I like. Apart from that, you don't have to worry about, got to hurry up because I've got a client in 40 minutes, or I've got to squeeze in a shower. Like, you're just there to just chill and train.
Sip on a coconut and relax.
Man, you know, so for me, and especially this time around, going out, because I've been, I don't know, maybe 6-7 times. But this time going out with the family was it was magic.
Yeah.
Because
Where did you go? Which part?
so we went to Hua Hin, somewhere that a gym that I wanted to go there for years, um, and it was just great. It was great. The gym. The funny thing is, two places that I wanted to go to this time round were Sichapo, which is the gym that I was talking about, and a guy called Gay. Everyone knows him as Trainer Gay, and
Not the gay trainer.
definitely not the gay trainer. And he's basically, the Sichapo and Trainer Gay is blowing up on Instagram. But I've wanted to go. Well, I trained with Trainer Gay. We're talking, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that.
I think you've mentioned him to me before, right? You said you was going to go back and see him because you've held pads for me. We've done a lot of training and sparring in lockdowns and whatnot, right?
I'll mention him, right? And the amazing thing, like back in the day, there was no social media, but it's not like it was now, right?
It wasn't really a thing.
It wasn't a thing. When I was training with him, it wasn't a thing. I was training with him in Koh Samui. We used to go back every year to train with him, and then we went back one year. He wasn't there, right? And he was my favorite ever trainer. I loved training with him. And then they wouldn't tell us where he'd gone to. All right, cool. So, but my missus found him at some point, and she just took me into this gym in Bangkok. Oh, it's a surprise. I went in there. He was there, and it was a surprise. And trained with him a couple of days before heading back to London. And I was like, look, man, I'm going to come back within about 6 months and train and be here for a while. And that was 13 years. 13 years till I saw him again. But anyway, in that space of time, he's massive on Instagram. And that reinforced what I always believed about him, that he's just an amazing trainer. So it's great to see that he's blown up. And then the Sichapo situation, again, similar thing. When I was living in Sweden, because there were two brothers, these twins, both amazing. Look alike, fight alike, train alike, amazing. Really nice guys as well. And one of them lives in Sweden, and he was briefly sort of a training partner and a trainer of mine in one of the gyms in Stockholm. Always loved his style. Found out he had a twin brother. He got a gym called Sichapo, and from that time, so we're talking, maybe 10, 11 years ago, something like that. When we were in Sweden, I always wanted to go to Sichapo. So this trip, we went to Sichapo, trained with Gay, and it was wicked. And then my family was there as well. So it was, and we've never had a bloody family holiday. My son's into Muay Thai now.
Magic.
It was magic, yeah. It was golden. So, really good. Can't wait to get back out there.
Nice.
To fight out there.
Oh, does he? Have you fought in Thailand yourself?
I fought in Thailand once on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good. What birthday was it?
Can't remember which birthday.
Oh, so it wasn't like a big one. It wasn't like a...
I can't even remember, to be honest. It was just, I'm 43 and this must have been about, 14, 15 years ago. And all I remember is I was training at WMC in the Mai in Koh Samui. And I came for the afternoon session. I was just training shadowboxing. I think it just started. So we were shadowboxing. We skipped and we were doing some shadowboxing. And the head trainer, who I'd never met before, he came over to me and said, "Oh, stop training. Why are you training? Why are you training? You fight tonight." And I was like, looking around, I was like, no, you must have me confused with someone else. No, I'm just training. He went, no, stop training. You fight tonight. No, honestly, it's probably one of these other guys. And he said, okay. Went off, spoke to one of the trainers that knew me. Because obviously he wasn't in Bangkok. He'd been there the whole time. And then he came back. No, stop training. You fight tonight. And I was like, it's my birthday. And he went, oh, don't worry about birthday. Birthday later. You fight tonight.
Birthday tomorrow this year.
But and I was like, okay. And that was it. He just said, go home, relax, come back here, meet you, and then we drive to the stadium. So it was all very last minute. Didn't know anything about it. And just turned up there, fought, and do you know what? To be honest, the two times when I've kind of just been rushed and not had time to think, I've enjoyed those fights and just been in the moment, and really good performances.
Nice.
Twice. It happened in the UK as well, where I just fell asleep and I was just super relaxed, and then I almost, they were like, "Where you been? You got to do your medical, blah blah blah." They were like, "You're up in 10 minutes." Had no time to warm up. Went in, had a great fight. So there's something about just being super relaxed and no time to overthink this situation. And that's the thing, is in Thailand, you see them, this blew me away. Obviously, it's steeped in tradition and all that kind of stuff. But you know, two fighters just sitting next to each other like me and you now, just waiting to go in. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
They're not talking to each other, but they're just cool, just sitting there waiting to go in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you never see that in the UK. You know what I mean? Because everything is so like mess him up and
different culture in it.
Different culture, you know, but it doesn't need to be that way.
No.
And I think those two fights that I had where I was just relaxed, didn't have time to think about the guy and just sort of like almost visualize him and bloody stick his face on a dartboard like I'm gonna fuck this guy up in 8 weeks. Just I had no time to think and I just got in and had great performances.
Because that's the hard part, isn't it? Like from my experience as well, and not just me, everyone says the same pretty much, give or take, is when you turn up fight night and you're in that changing room beforehand, that's the tough part, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? You're scared, you fucking no one wants to admit it, but you are. I was like, I don't know what yours is like, but for me, I couldn't sit still. I was like a pacing tiger. My coach said to me once, Sid Khan, shout out Sid, he said a lot of things to me, which we'll get into on another show maybe. But he said to me once, fuck me, Ollie. He said, sit down, you're doing the carpet up, mate. Like, I'm just pacing and pacing and pacing. And how are you? Because I've seen some people that just sit and they're kind of in their self. Some people are scared to death. Some people ask too many questions, so you know they're scared to death.
Yeah. I mean,
what's your? Have you got a routine? But have you got any superstitions or anything going into it?
Not really. I mean, some of the. So basically, Gay got me an amulet, like again, 14 years ago, whatever it was, and I've had that this whole time. And generally speaking, as long as I bloody remember to pack it, I usually wear that. I'm not really a superstitious person, but because he gave it to me and it means a lot, you know, I always wear it for fights. You know. Apart from that, not really any traditions. Don't have lucky pants or anything like that.
And what are you like in the change room?
Yeah, nervous as hell, man. Nervous as and to be honest, once I started to lose, that's when it all got a bit, you know, the pressure. I built up the pressure way too much, and that's when I kind of had to go and see someone about, you know, I had to go and see a cognitive hypnotherapist. Shout out to Hazel Gale. Yeah, she helps me a lot, Hazel Gale. And she's like a ex-world champion kickboxer.
So she gets it from both angles.
Yeah, because that was the thing, because when I started to lose fights, my missus was like, why are you not doing the things that I know you're capable of? Like, you get in there and you just freeze. Like, you just lock up, you don't do anything. You don't do these things. You're not in that flow state. You're not just flowing. You're not doing, I know. I'll sort it for the next fight. Don't worry, I'll you know. And I always left it to myself. But then, of course, I wouldn't sort it. The next fight would happen. And I got some losses back to back. And it was like, my world was just ended. So then, in the change rooms, I was more anxious than I used to be. Mm-hmm. You're anxious because you don't want to lose. And you're in there with a dude who's going to like head kick you, elbow you, punch you, try and hurt you. You know what I mean? So there's always that. But not to the level that it was in my more recent fights, where just the worry of just losing and just being a loser and like my family not respecting me, people not respecting me, not being that guy that I used to be. You know, people used to come up to me. Like, I remember I bumped into Greg Wooten, shout out to Greg Wooten as well, outside the O2, and I was fighting, I think for a title or something. And he was like, you're just going to go in and win and do what you always do, you know? And, you know, obviously you say that to fighters and just help them out mentally as well. But, you know, people would say to me, do you ever lose? Stuff like that. Mm. And I got used to that. And then I just got back-to-back losses. And it was hard to come back from, like, mentally to get myself back in it. So, yeah, in the change rooms, I might have looked all right, but I was a mess. You know, trying to contend with these demons and try and keep these nasty voices at bay. Sometimes I was better at it than others, but hard, man. Yeah. You know? Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough battle, and someone that hasn't done it will never understand that feeling. They won't.
Because as scared as they are, thinking about it, and fuck that, I could never do that. Fighters feel like that too. Yeah. It's just what you do is different, right? Yeah. And you're brave enough to go in there and do something and actually follow through with it. Because we've all been there, and I'm sure you can relate to this. Is like we've been there, and the coach says, "Oh, you know, such and such date you got a bout," and you're like, "Okay, yeah, great." And the closer it's getting, you're going, "Fuck me," and you're in the changing room beforehand going, "Why the fuck am I doing this again?" But then as soon as you get in there, if you get the win, you fucking next week, coach, get me another one, and it's like the old Mike Tyson thing, isn't it? Like the closer to the ring you get, the more confident you get. That to me was 100% how I felt. And as soon as I was in the ring, you're supercharged with energy, but you're ready at that point because I don't know whether it hits home that you're looking across and it's just you and him, right? All this other shit don't matter.
I mean, look, anything else is just too late by that point.
Too late.
But,
and nothing in your life matters too. If you're having problems with a missus, if you've got car payments, whatever it is, any kind of craziness you've got going on, at that particular moment, they're gone, aren't they?
see, for me, no.
Oh, no, okay.
That was the problem.
Okay.
That was the problem. I kind of, I would have those freaking thoughts on quite a few fights right up until, and even sometimes in there, I'd be thinking that, I've sacrificed work, so I'm getting into debt. I've got no money at the moment. Fuck, I think I'm losing this fight.
Yeah.
Like all that shit would go, or, I'd be thinking about, like a relationship with my sister or something that, I should have phoned her last week, but I was training and, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be thinking,
that's mad,
yeah. But it didn't used to be like that when I was winning. It was only when I started to lose. And that's, I knew that these are not thoughts that I should be having right now. You know what I mean? Like, so eventually I did go and see someone and she helped me a lot. And the other thing about it was, when my missus would say to me, I even said, look, win or lose after this fight, I'm retiring. So I lost the fight. I was like, right, that's it, I'm done. And my missus was like, you're not done. You're not done. She's like, I'm not letting you retire. And I always thought that she would be happy for me to retire so I could be more present with the family.
But your missus is a fighter too, you said?
Yeah. And she's like, look, go and see someone first, right? Get your head straight. Then have a fight, win or lose, and you can retire. As long as you've tried to do something about your sort of outlook and your mental state and your mental preparation. And so that's what I did. But in the run up to that, I always thought to myself, I could go and see someone. I don't care if they work with elite Olympic rowers or, whatever, football players, high jumpers. They don't understand fighting. It means nothing to me because it's a different world, right? Then someone got me in touch with Hazel Girl. And when I found out, I read her book. And, the fact that she's a boxer and kickboxer, I was like, right, this is the one for me. And there was so many parallels, so many, things that I was like, yeah, that's me. I was reading that book. I was listening to her book. I was listening to her book while I was washing up and I was like, yeah, that's me. Yeah. That's me. Damn, that's me.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is the person, And what I loved about her as well is that it wasn't, and you always kind of, because money's an issue, right? Especially when you're trying to train enough.
Trying to rest enough as well.
Trying to rest enough, yeah. And with her, it was like, no, I think it was 3 sessions or 2 sessions, 2-3 sessions we're done. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, keep coming back.
Yeah.
Hey, keep coming back. Yeah, you're still struggling? All right, try this. It was like 3 sessions and you should be done. We can meet up at some point if you feel like we need, but the aim is for you to be done in 3 sessions. So I like that as well because it felt like that's honest. I'm not, because I'm a little bit of a skeptic. I'm a bit, I don't know, I see and again, it goes back to maybe like the fights and stuff, but I see the sort of negative in situations. Well, I should be looking for the positive, but it's hard. I do, don't trust this person.
Yeah. No, I can relate.
Find a reason to sort of like doubt what they're saying. You know what I mean?
Mate, I can relate to that too. And I won't mention names because I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the person, but I saw someone once too. Yeah. I won't even mention if it's a man or woman. We'll talk off air. But this person was like talking to me about things, and it sounds similar to what you're going, but they was not a fighter in any sense of the word. And then we're sitting there and they're talking about things and they're looking at me and like doing all this business and then saying to me things like, oh, tell me about this fight when you was, 11 at school. And it's very traumatic, Ollie. And when you look and you're going, nah, not really. I'm going, it wasn't really traumatic to me. We just grew up so different. Like to you it's traumatic, but for me, and again, I'm not trying to sound like an oaf or anything, but it's like, that was normal. Do you know what I mean? And then they're telling about, oh, but how is your relationship with mum and dad when you're doing this? And when you're like, I'm good, bro. I'm good. Sorry, I said bro, it's a man, obviously. But no names. Do you know what I'm saying? There you go. Call anyone bro, or she, or they, or whatever you like. That's another podcast. But do you know what I mean? And it was so unrelatable to this guy. Me even saying about doing martial arts in a class, let alone fighting, was so alien to them. Yeah. There was no relevance to it. And the reason I bring it up is because you said about 2 or 3 sessions. I would have been seeing this person until I was retiring. Because it was just going around in circles, and every time there was we found a new trauma, Ollie. It's like, bro, it ain't a trauma. I'm fine. Do you know what I mean? I don't sit at night thinking, oh, poor me, I got bullied at school, right? Because It just is what it is. But anyway, let's dive into your career a bit, mate. How many pro fights you have?
28.
Damn, serious amount.
Yeah,
and before I cut you off, you done or we carrying on? Because we spoke a little bit and it sounds like you're on the fence.
You know what? The thing is, so yeah, I mean, officially I'm done. I did say after my last fight I'm done, but
big win in London, right?
Yeah, it was a win, but you know, you're never satisfied with the way it goes. And you know, I hurt my hand before the fight, so I was hardly punching. And yeah, it was good. I got my son in the ring, which is a big moment for me. You know, a bit of a tearjerker, and yeah, it meant a lot. But I haven't retired for the right reason. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I'm old, right? But people,
I'm not having. Listen. We keep mentioning old. I'm not.
Yeah, look,
I've seen you move still.
This is the thing, right? This is the thing. If I moved like my age, I would have retired.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when I got into this, I thought I'll probably be done by 30. But every year, I was like, oh, I'm still
when you get to 30, you realize how young 30 is.
Yeah, you know, and obviously nowadays we can train a lot smarter, be a bit more bloody, you know, scientific in how you approach things, and not just go hell for leather all the time and just like no sleep, train hard. Like, no, it's good work, especially when you're older and all the rest of it. But the only reason why I retired is just because I can't train enough. That's it. It's not because I feel like my body's failing. It's not because I feel like my reflexes have gone or I'm getting dropped all the time. In fact, I know I've only had a few fights at a heavier weight, but I feel like I should have been fighting at a heavier weight the whole time. I feel like cutting down didn't do me any favors. I just always saw everyone I thought was at least that much taller than me, if not that much taller than me. And I always kind of thought to myself, I don't want them to get even taller. So I'm going to stay down here. But in retrospect, having fights, because, you know, I had fights, most of my fights have been 61 kilos, but I've had a few now at 64, 65.
Which is nuts, by the way. We can't, obviously we're sitting down, but if anyone sees you in person, to think that you get to 61 kilos is nuts, because you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Mesomorphic build by nature. Like, do you know what I mean? He's like, if you can't see, he's like one of them dogs that said the, you know, like the statin or whatever it is, that has got too much muscle for him.
You know what? That's the other thing, right? I can't take much credit for that. My mum, my genetics that I get from my mum, she was an athlete. She was a sprinter. I used to sprint.
Where's your mum from originally?
Nigeria.
Yeah.
And you know, if you talk about genetically, you know, West Africans or Jamaicans who are descendants of West African slaves, you know, as opposed to East Africans who do marathon runs that are slimmer, you know, we're built differently. So, you know, I'm quite muscular. My mum, for a woman, she doesn't look like a muscular woman, but for a woman, you know, you'd be like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? And she doesn't even really take care of herself or go to the gym. She's never done that.
And where's your dad from?
My dad's from Wales. My dad is just a normal looking dude. The only thing that, I mean, you know, I can't.
Is your dad actually from Wales with the accent?
Yeah. Well, nah. So, nah. I mean, maybe you can hear a little twang.
But he's from Wales himself. I mean, he's not like a descendant of the Welsh.
He's a Welsh white dude. And, you know, you might hear one little twang, but he's been in London his whole life. It doesn't really sound
My surname's Jones. I've got a bit of Welsh
somewhere,
and
but I know that, you know, he did a bit of judo when he was young.
Rugby, I'm assuming?
In university. I think he did.
Oh, he didn't?
All I remember, he wasn't really a sports person, but he was the fastest one in his school.
Yep.
My mum was also the fastest one in her school, used to sprint.
So I'm assuming you're the fastest one in school.
Yeah, I'm always like explosive, and my daughters just had their sports day.
So on Instagram, I saw that, right? Yeah. And she looked like she was about 3 runs ahead of everybody else.
So yeah, they got the fast gene. So, you know, I've been lucky genetically, right? And it's been a blessing and a curse, because I know that I haven't trained as much as I should have done for certain fights, because I'm like, I'm going to knock this guy out. I get in there and I'm not as fit as I should be, and I try and knock him out, and I'm like, and then he just beat me by volume or whatever, especially in K1. So being sort of like, because even before I came to the gym, like, oh, how much you benching, bro? How much you benching? I'm like,
I don't. Yeah.
I don't. And sometimes it's just easier to say, I don't know, a little bit. I couldn't tell them a number because I never used to do it, but people used to assume I was lifting weights.
Yep.
And you know, even when I came to the gym box, first of all, my thing was always Muay Thai, but people would be like, I want to have a body like you. Can you show me what program you do? And I'm like, because I'm a personal trainer, I can teach you that stuff, but I wasn't necessarily doing it myself. I've started recently just because I'm an old guy and I've got more time on my hands and I want to just purely for vanity. And my body hasn't really changed since I was 27, when I wasn't doing any weights at all. Now I understand the importance of strength and conditioning as a fighter, but at the time, I just didn't want to get bigger in my mind. If I get bigger, they're going to get taller. And I didn't really understand how to train back then. Now that I do understand, I'm struggling to get enough time to do the Muay Thai elements themselves, like the bag work, the sprints, the bag work, the clinch, the sparring, the pad work, the shadow. All those elements alone, I'm struggling to get in. So I'm like, I don't have time for the strength training as well. I've got to sprint as well. I've got to do the cardio side of it. So I've never really incorporated strength training. So yeah, I just use busy work life and kids.
But I think sometimes that helps too, because the ones that lift a lot of weights are the ones that seem to be injured a lot as well. And I'm someone who's done a fair bit of strength and conditioning too. But where, not that I'm older physically, but I feel the little bit older, a little bit wiser. I use it more now for sort of looking after my body. For example, I don't bench press at all. I do body weight stuff for upper body. But just as an example, let's just say for round number's sake, I was going to bench press 100 kilos. For, let's say my max was 10 reps. I could do 10 reps on 100 kilos. That's the max I could do. I'm now more of the mindset where I'll do 5. I'll make it as perfect and controlled, everything's here. And then I'll rest, and I just make everything move correctly. I use bench press as an example because I don't bench press. Do you know what I mean? So everything for sort of looking after the body. And I think you have to, because we all know, especially in combat sports, and even more so probably striking sports, we're one side dominant most of the time. We can train both sides, but you're predominantly one side, and you get stiff, you get tight, you get injuries off of that, right? So for me, my strength and conditioning is now looking after the body. And I think you get a lot of strength and conditioning from your actual sport, right? 100%. Because you get more efficient. If I'm rolling with a guy I'll tell you a good example. I was rolling with someone jiu-jitsu wise who was a CrossFitter, who was about 100 kilos, similar sort of frame to me, but obviously way more muscular and whatever, and fitter in a CrossFit sense, right? But he was tired after about 2 minutes of a round because it's a different energy system.
Sport specific. I mean, I had a conversation with a guy yesterday, in fact. He did my lunchtime class, and he was saying, I don't know about just did, but he did the Madrid marathon. He's like, why is this making me so unfit? And I was like, because it's just a different sport. You're using your energy,
tensing up, everything.
It's different. So guarantee, we've all got it within us to get fitter at said sport. If this is what you want to get better at, spend time doing
That's it. And I do believe in sort of the old school Soviet Union principle of like, your basic training. So like your fundamentals for everybody. So like the way they used to train with their kids before they know how big they're going to be, before they know what sport they're going to specify in. They train them as an all-round athlete, with basics, your squats, your press-ups, your pull-ups, your sprints, your runs, your whatever, your body weight game. And then when they get to the age of, I don't know what age it is specifically, but say 12, 13, where they can see he's long and lanky, he's short and stocky, you go that sport, then they specialise. But they've already had 10 years of a base of being...
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's like the old school Soviet way. And the East Germans and all that. I mean, I'm sure they had a few extra help as well, but but their kids were like doing all this kind of gymnastic work from young, which I think is beneficial, right? Because I've seen, again, going back to your kids, I've seen your kids doing all kinds of crazy flips and cartwheels and shit, right?
I mean, like gymnastics, I think is just one of those great bases, I think. So my daughter does gymnastics, and I kind of want my kids to do what they enjoy. But obviously, I'm going to steer them in a certain, like the martial arts thing. We're gonna be doing that. You know what I mean? Let's make it enjoyable. But, I'm going to be doing that. That's just like, it's like swimming for me. It's a life skill. It's something I can teach you. You can get it for free. So we're going to do that. And obviously, because I'm teaching at martial arts gym, so it's easy for me to just go upstairs and do this class while I'm teaching. It just works.
Nice,
you know what I mean? But I want them to do the stuff that they enjoy as well. So they swim, they do gymnastics, and dance, and I want them to do whatever they want. Good, really.
I think it's beneficial in it just to be, and it's got to be fun, like you said, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's nothing, because we've had conversations before. We won't mention names, but about people in jiu-jitsu with their parents that push him into it, and the kid's into it, but not that into it, and he's got him sweating and fucking pushing him, and he was no good himself. And we've seen, and that's when it's worse. You see parents that push their kids and live their dream through them. And it's okay doing that. It's not okay. But in football, it's one thing. If you're doing it with your kid in a martial art, that's not right to me.
That's kind of how I feel. Again, not because everyone's got a different approach. I don't want to knock any parents, but
go on, knock some parents. Name names.
I've got to go and teach these parents' kids on Monday. So at the end of the day, like the whole social media stuff, the Instagram stuff, right? There are all these kids that they've been in the sport for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They've already got like, their names, their fight names, and they've already got an Instagram page. And I respect the parents that say parent managed, and you can see that it's like, all right, I'm writing on behalf of my kid, but this is clearly a parent. But a lot of them they're just talking as if you are that child.
Yeah.
Something a little bit icky about that. It's a bit gross for me. And what makes it annoying as well, like we're saying, I'm a lifelong martial artist. I appreciate the time spent, time served doing whatever it is, right? So when you've been in it for 5 minutes and you're a white belt or whatever, doesn't matter whether it's BJJ or Muay Thai, whatever, and it's like a parent has clearly decided, this is what I'm going to do for you. Or this is who you're going to be. You're going to be this martial arts person on Instagram.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get you a gazillion followers. And I don't like it.
Nah.
And all these pushy parents on the sidelines. And I'm someone who, trust me, if my kid's sparring, inside I'm going, do this, do that, do that. Like, I'm going mad because I want him to win the spar, right? But I'm probably the most quiet. I don't get involved. I don't, even in Muay Thai, I don't tell him anything because that's just not my approach.
Yeah.
I let him do his thing. Maybe I'll give him a bit of advice at home or whatever. Sometimes if we're traveling to class, I might say, yeah, I want you to use this technique. Try this technique today because you're really good at it. But, I try not to be a pushy parent.
Mm-hmm.
I fight everything. I fight it, to not be.
But he'll respect you for that. And when he'll come to you.
Well, that's when it's in. I feel like with the Muay Thai thing, I've always wanted him to do it, but not pushed him into it. So that's why it warms my heart now that he actually is doing it off his own back.
Yeah. And he's 14. You've got to think, you remember what it's like being 14. Even though to us, looking at a 14-year-old as a kid, when you're 14, you don't see it that way. 14, you know everything, don't you? You're like, what the fuck does my dad know? So if you're constantly on him, giving it like, do this, do this, do this, he's going around his missus or his friend's house and he's going, fuck my dad, he's fucking telling me this. He don't know this. He thinks, blah, 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 blah. And it just creates a rift, doesn't it? You're better off just leaving him and come to you.
But I'm just lucky that, that he hasn't, I'm just lucky that he likes it.
Yeah, and he's got to like it, ain't he? Because I had a parent about 6 months ago, I trained a kid privately. I train a lot of kids, so I don't mind saying it and I'm not mentioning names, right? But they came to me with their kid and go, they're doing really well. I think they're ready for this, this and this and this. And, you're looking at it, because I want him to be, and when he's older, I want him to be in the UFC. And the kid is like far too young to even talk about that. And the kid is not bad, but he's just a normal kid. Like, he's talking about him like he's special and like it's time to go to the next level. You're like, chill. Just let me take care of his training. Don't worry about that. He still wants to play fucking hide and seek. You know what I mean? Like, forget all that. But anyway, that's the world you're in, isn't it?
That is the thing. You just know that these parents want their kids to be the next Conor McGregor. That's it. That's it.
And all of them, from my experience, there's exceptions, but with no exception in my experience, all the ones that do that have not got any martial arts experience themselves. It's all like they think they can. They like to tell you how they boxed when they was a kid at fucking so and so school. And do you know my coach so and so? And you go, nah. And they go, oh yeah, well he used to train at such and such gym. Do you know? And you go, nah. And and they're like trying to impress you. You're like, bro, you ain't gonna impress me with your background. But it is what it is.
It is that way.
But before we wrap it up, mate, tell us about your achievements in Muay Thai, because I don't even know myself too much. I know you was a European champion, if I'm right.
Yeah. So you know what? This is one of those things that I've got to look at in a positive way, because my thing was always like I wanted to be world champion, and not getting that kind of frame my Muay Thai career in a bit of a negative light. You know what I mean? Which I shouldn't do, and I'm trying to work on that. So yeah, I've got South of England, English, British, and European titles,
which is massive. Because, sorry to cut you off, but for anyone who doesn't know, even you saying South of England, but I'm not too clued up on the Muay Thai side of it from boxing. I know people that I've trained with, sparred with, that have won Southern area. And that's serious. That's not anything to be sneered at. It sounds like nothing when you go English, British, European, world, because you go, well, that ain't much then. But then if you're in it, it's huge. So don't beat yourself up on anything so far. We're flying. Southern area champions all the way up to European. These are massive achievements, man. But you're disappointed you didn't get a world title?
Yeah, of course.
How close were you?
Because, I had one world title fight, and that was the first time I got hurt, man. And I was like, whoa, I've never been hurt before. And this was like, I think that was the first time actually, no, not the first time, but demons kind of got to me on that one. because I remember it was in Scotland and I was fighting their guy, really tough fighter, good guy. But I believe I can beat anyone on my day, right? So, I went up there and, I was in the hotel being taken to the weigh-ins. And, generally speaking, when you get taken to the weigh-ins, if you're on time, you weigh in together, you have the little face-off, all that kind of stuff, right? I was there on time, but he'd already weighed in. And that's when it started for me. I was like, because he looked massive. And I was like, he made 61. And why haven't I seen? And I'm not the kind of person to go, oh, can I see him on the scales? Because I'm just not like that. But in my mind, I was like, this ain't good. Like, he looks massive. Did he really make 61? And why wasn't we should be getting on the scales now? Do you know what I mean? Which means he's already weighed in and he's drinking and he's rehydrating and all the rest of it. So that kind of messed with me a little bit. And then, on fight day, I remember just getting ready to go from, I've been taken from the changing rooms. I was in like a corridor or something just before coming into the ring. And I remember he had loads of his mates that were there. And they're going, he's going to fucking kill you. My guy's going to fucking kill you. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, security shouldn't allow this. Like, what is this? And I'm obviously going on like, this is not bothering me, but it was bothering me, right? Because I knew he was a tough guy. I knew he was like, stopping people straight away. And, got in there and he stopped me in the first round. To this day, I've never even watched the fight because it just fucking hurts too much. But again, you should watch these things to learn from these things. But it hurt too much. And it was like a world title. I've never had a world title since, a world title shot. Anyway, and that was it. I think he hurt me with a body shot, or something. It was a knee or a body, I don't even know. But he hurt me this first time. Got up. I think maybe I was down twice, but I got up and I think I was saying I was ready to carry on. If my memory serves me correctly, but I think the ref was like, "No, you're not good, and waved it off. And that was the first time I got stopped and the first time I've been hurt. So, and that was hard to deal with. But no world title shots since then.
Yeah, but listen, man, I'm a big believer, not to get too philosophical, but I'm a big believer that the credit belongs to the man in the arena, right? And you've been there, and it is what it is. You not died trying. That's the wrong way to put it, because people do die in the sport, right? But you tried, right? And you really tried. You didn't kind of like shoulda, woulda, coulda it. You're not the guy in the gym that's training, because we all know him, with a big belly on, that's going, I could have been, but I fucking twisted my finger when I was 6, and it's like, yeah, all right, mate, cool. You've been there, and you've done it.
I went for it. Yeah.
And off the back of that, you kind of retired, sort of retired, not really. Yeah, is it too late for that world title?
Yeah, I'd have to get a good few sort of wins under the belt. But because the thing is, everyone I'm fighting, they're like national champs, they're other kind of champs, intercontinental, whatever it is, European, whatever it is, they're all champs, right? So I'm losing to good guys. So, it wouldn't take many wins to justify it. But I did have quite a few losses in a row. So, I'd need a good couple of wins. And then, but, the sport's messed up. Because you can manufacture, you can set people on a course to get bloody titles. You know what I mean? But in our team at the moment, we've got so many young guys. They're the focus.
Yep.
So I'd really have to knock some motherfuckers out in dramatic fashion, back to back for 2-3 fights to sort of justify me getting a title shot. But I believe I could do it.
Oh, fire still burns. Let's watch this space, guys. We might have a future world champion on.
Like the oldest world champion.
So before,
and you know what? That is one of those things that I think in my mind. I'd like to be the oldest world champion.
But you're 43 and you're fresh and young looking, and you can move. I've seen you move. You hit things. You don't want to leave it till you're 53.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where it's kind of like now or never.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's good because we did a lot, and I know we're going on lots of different tangents here, but we did a lot of sparring, well, not a lot, but we sparred a fair bit during boxing sparring in Battersea Park during the lockdowns when gyms were closed like a couple of lunatics. We were sparring outside in Battersea Park and just having a tear up, weren't we? Which was fun. And prior to that, we did
privates. Have a boxing fight as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
I'll go in there, do that, knock a few people out in boxing. Come back. Yeah, boxing, your hands are good. Your hands for someone who
especially
only done Muay Thai.
Yeah.
When I was boxing with you, it was like boxing with a boxer. Do you know what I mean? Not that I'm trying to pack me, like say, if you can box with me, but you know what I'm saying, right? When I box with people that have come from other arts before boxing, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Are the best boxers. Simple as that.
And people have got, the penny's got to drop with people soon, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't get it, do they?
Yeah,
you know, if you're boxing a boxer, you're going to probably lose. If you Muay Thai against a Muay Thai fight, MMA, grappling against.
Yeah, man.
It is what it is. You know, there's odd exceptions, isn't there, with punches and kicks and knockouts and whatever. But for the most part,
I believe that, like, say on one of these, one of these boxing shows, as long as the guy's not amazing, I could definitely hold my own.
For sure.
I know 100%. That I could win some boxing fights. And it's at the same time, it's that sort of brain injury thing. I'm like,
but also, with your level, it's hard to box at what level, right? Because you can't go into a white collar bout.
Yeah.
Because I trained someone for a white collar bout a couple of years ago, and he was a white collar boxer. Do you know what I mean? He didn't have any boxing experience, liked boxing. He was in his 40s, got to the point where he wanted to do it, and he fought another guy who, sorry, I nearly said couldn't fight. I don't mean that disrespectfully. Do you know what I mean? But another guy like him who's not fought before and didn't have a background.
Yeah.
So when they had a fight, it was a fair fight, and my guy won. Do you see what I mean? If he'd have got in there, and we've got fucking Daniel Terry the other side of the ring,
it'd probably be a situation
dangerous.
I'd fight some ex-pro who's had like 4 pro fights, or it's had like 15 amateurs or something. I don't know. But yeah. I mean, you've got to, and I've never looked for I've never asked my coach, find me. Even when I was losing, I was like, find me like a decent.
And what good is that? What good is that? You get in there and spark someone who can't fight in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You don't feel good about that, do you? He's brought his mates there. They've all got fucking banners. You know what I mean? Go on, Terry. And like he gets face planted because we've seen that too, haven't we? You see them. You see them things. But the reason I bring it up, just to wrap things up, is we did some pads before. You held pads for me and put me through my paces, which was fantastic. Because you train right. I've done with other Muay Thai. Not that they're bad, but it's a bit sort of 10 kicks, 10 punch, 10 fucking push-ups, 10 burpees. And it's like, ain't really teaching me Muay Thai, is it? Do you know what I mean? Whereas when we did it, we had the dojo to ourselves. We had a mirror incident, which we won't get into. Make of that what you will.
I crap another time when I crap my pants.
But the dojo's been done since, so it's all forgotten. But great pad sessions, very technical, whatever. I've still got a lump. I don't know if you can see it. I broke my hand in a pad session with him because I was trying to impress him. I tried to keep it to myself, and I don't think he noticed. But after the session, I was like, broken hand. But
my son did that when he was training with his mum. Damn.
No, good. That was my idea. I was trying to be a big tough guy and not show you that I broke my hand during a session.
That's the thing that a lot of people can't do. It's like poker face.
But it's stupid, really. It was on a fucking Wednesday morning in the dojo, just as.
But at the same time, that's what fighters do.
That's what we do. But it was good. And we'll talk off camera about some plans I've got coming up, which I'd like to do some more training with you. But the reason I bring it up is anyone that wants to do Muay Thai training in London, this is your man. Don't look no further. We'll put all the details in the comments. In the description below. Comment and whatever. How to get in touch with Daniel. But mate, anything you want to shout out? Now's your time. Who's your coaches? Any fights coming up?
Any fights coming up? Yeah, tomorrow. World title fight tomorrow. Not really. Just shout out to Jimox for allowing us to do this here. Very
grateful.
And just everyone that I train with, and the guys at Fight Zone.
Team Chew, right? Is your team?
Yeah, just everyone that I train with, and
Brilliant. What's your Instagram handle, mate?
My family, because I'm supposed to be on family duty at the moment, but I'm here.
But he told them because he's made it on the biggest podcast around, the Squeeze Neck podcast.
That's it. Listen, priorities.
What's your Instagram handle, mate?
Instagram is Ninja Days with a Z, all one word. Ninja Days. I think if you just punch in Daniel,
we'll put it all in there. We'll all put it in below anyway. But for now, mate, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Oh, one more thing before I go, because I always ask people some questions. I'm narrowing them down because they go on a bit. But the one important question: this determines whether we stay friends or not. Which football team do you support?
I'm not into football.
Chelsea, very good. Well done, my friend. Excellent, good answer. Episode 10, Squeeze the Neck podcast. Boom.